All right, everyone, welcome back to Talk Tickers. You know we love to break down these earnings calls, and today we're diving deep into Tradeweb Markets Q4 2024 performance. Get ready for record revenues, big market share wins, and a glimpse into the future of trading.
It's really fascinating to see Tradeweb not just riding the wave of electronic trading, they're paddling hard and catching the biggest waves out there.
Absolutely. And since their IPO back in 2019, they've more than doubled their revenues.
And they're doing it profitably.
It's not just growth at any cost.
No.
It's strategic expansion. They're killing it in established markets, making waves in emerging markets, over $60 million in revenue there.
Wow.
And even stepping into that corporate treasury space.
Exactly. They're playing the long game here, but let's zoom in on the immediate win.
Yeah.
Tradeweb just smashed their records, both for the quarter and for the year.
Give me the numbers.
We're talking $463 million in revenue for Q4.
Wow.
A 25.2% jump compared to last year.
It's huge.
And for the full year, revenues are up a whopping 29%.
That's not just growth. That's a full-on hockey stick.
Yeah.
But what's driving this success?
Well, a few things. Think strong client activity, strategic wins in market share, and a risk-on environment, meaning investors are feeling bullish.
Feeling good, ready to make moves.
Exactly.
Hold on. For any listeners who might be new to this, can you quickly unpack that risk-on idea?
Sure thing. It basically means investors are feeling confident and willing to take on more risk to chase those higher returns. So think stocks, corporate bonds, even emerging markets.
Gotcha.
When this risk-on mood prevails, trading activity tends to increase.
Makes sense.
Which is great news for platforms like Tradeweb.
Okay. So Tradeweb is perfectly positioned to benefit from this confident market mood, but they're not just passively riding this wave, they're actively making moves.
You're right. The rates business, for example, was a star performer this quarter. Swaps, government bonds, and mortgages all saw growth, and their acquisitions of RFFin and Yieldbroker are really paying off.
It's like they're hitting all the right notes. And their credit business is no slouch either.
Oh, no.
They hit their second highest quarterly market share ever in fully electronic U.S. high-grade bonds, plus a record high in high yield.
That's impressive.
And let's not forget the momentum they're building in credit derivatives.
It's really remarkable. What's really impressive is their global reach. 40% of their Q4 revenue came from international clients.
Wow. Worldwide.
With the Asia-Pacific region exploding, volumes there more than doubled year over year.
They're not just playing in the big leagues, they're dominating on a global scale. But let's talk tech for a second. Tradeweb has poured over $780 million into technology since 2016.
And that investment is paying off. They're laser-focused on making their current products even better, attracting new clients, and forming these key partnerships.
Partnerships like their integration with BlackRock's Aladdin platform.
Exactly, which gives them access to a massive network of institutional investors.
That's huge, and let's not forget their collaborations with giants like FTSE Russell and Goldman Sachs.
These aren't just flashy names. These are strategic alliances that are creating a really powerful trading ecosystem.
Okay, all this talk about ecosystems makes me think of the digital asset space, which is all about interconnectedness. Is Tradeweb dipping their toes into that world?
Dipping their toes. They're diving in headfirst.
Oh, wow.
They're exploring things like trusted shareable data, smart contracts, and tokenization, all the buzzwords you hear in the crypto world.
Yeah.
But what sets Tradeweb apart is that they're not just chasing hype. They're partnering with these established players like Securitize and Alpha Ledger, and they even joined the Canton Network.
Wow.
This tells me they're serious about building a really solid foundation in this evolving landscape.
So they're bringing their reputation for reliability and innovation to a space that often feels like the Wild West.
Exactly. And they're not neglecting their core businesses either. Remember that U.S. Treasury business we mentioned?
Yeah.
It just hit record revenues.
That's impressive, especially considering the competition in that space. What's their secret sauce?
Well, they're seeing a big shift towards streaming and session-based trading, particularly in the wholesale market.
Can you explain that for our listeners who might not be familiar with those terms?
Sure. In traditional treasury trading, you'd call up a broker to get a quote, then negotiate a price. It's a very slow manual process.
Right.
But with streaming, you get real-time prices and can execute trades electronically with just a click. It's like the difference between hailing a cab and using a ride-sharing app.
Much more efficient.
Much more efficient, transparent.
I like it.
Yeah.
So Tradeweb is basically building the ride-sharing app for treasury trading.
You got it. Their platform is perfectly designed for this kind of streamlined electronic trading, and that's why they're seeing such strong growth in this area.
It sounds like they're one step ahead of the curve.
Well, they are actively shaping the curve. They're not just reacting to trends, they're anticipating them and building the infrastructure to support them.
That's smart. And speaking of smart, let's talk about their continued dominance in the credit market. Their focus on innovation, especially in portfolio trading, and their strategic partnership with BlackRock's Aladdin are giving them a serious edge.
It's like they have a secret weapon.
They do.
They're also setting their sights on expansion in the emerging market credit sector. Ambitious.
Yes, doable. Based on their track record, absolutely.
They're definitely playing to win. And let's not forget about their success in the global swaps market, which also generated record revenues for them.
Their team is laser focused on delivering these cutting-edge solutions to clients.
Love it.
And they're anticipating continued growth, especially considering that the swaps market is only about 30% electronified.
There's a huge opportunity there.
Huge opportunity.
So tell me, with all this growth and expansion, how are their financials looking? Are they able to keep...
Oh, they're in great shape. They ended
Wow.
Q4 with $1.3 billion in cash and cash equivalents, which is a nice cushion to have.
They are expecting adjusted expenses to increase by about 15% year over year in 2025, but they're still anticipating EBITDA and operating margin expansion.
That's reassuring. They're investing strategically for future growth, but doing so in a financially responsible way.
Exactly. They seem to have found that sweet spot between aggressive expansion and controlled spending.
Okay, before we move on, I want to quickly touch on something Tradeweb's CEO, Billy Holt, mentioned during the earnings call.
Oh, yeah. What stood out to you?
Well, he said that in January, they saw revenue growth of 23% year over year,
Okay.
or 17% if you exclude the $8 million in contractual payments related to the LSEG market data agreement. Basically, they're starting 2025 strong.
That's a great sign. It looks like the momentum from Q4 is carrying over into the new year.
Absolutely. But before we get too carried away, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. What does all of this tell us about Tradeweb's position in the market?
To me, it's clear that Tradeweb is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
They're not just reacting to market trends, they're actively shaping the future of electronic trading in fixed income. Think about it. They've expanded beyond their initial focus on rates and are now a major player in credit, equities, and even digital assets.
It's like they're building an empire.
Exactly.
Like they're creating this vast interconnected network that could become the go-to destination for trading everything from treasuries to, who knows, maybe even crypto someday.
You got it.
And their commitment to technology and innovation is key to their success. They're constantly investing in new tools and platforms to make trading more efficient and transparent for their clients. They're not just following the pack, they're setting the pace.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? What should you be taking away from this deep dive into Tradeweb's earnings?
Well, here's a provocative thought. Imagine a world where almost all fixed income trading is done electronically. Tradeweb is betting big that this is the future, and they're building the infrastructure to make it happen.
It's a bold vision. And honestly, it's not that far-fetched. Think about how much trading has already moved online in other markets. Fixed income is ripe for disruption, and Tradeweb is leading the charge.
Right. So the question for you is, what will this mean for institutional investors? How will it impact market liquidity? What new opportunities will arise? These are things worth considering as you watch Tradeweb's journey unfold.
Excellent points. Now, before we jump into our This Is Not Financial Advice segment, I want to circle back to one more thing from the earnings call.
Sure. What's on your mind?
Well, during the Q&A, Billy Holt was asked about the potential impact of looser bank regulations on electronic trading trends. And his response was really interesting.
I remember that. Yeah.
He basically said that he doesn't expect the move toward electronification to slow down, even if banks have more freedom to take on risk and keep more trading in-house. Exactly. He believes the benefits of electronic trading, things like efficiency, transparency, and access to a wider pool of liquidity, are here to stay. Regardless of the regulatory landscape. That's a pretty bold statement, but it makes sense when you think about the direction the market is heading.
It does, and it also speaks to Tradeweb's confidence in their ability to adapt and thrive in any environment. They're not just riding the wave, they're shaping it.
Okay, so we've covered the fundamentals, the growth strategy, the tech, the partnerships, and even touch on the regulatory landscape. Now, for the fun part, this is not financial advice, but based on everything we've learned, what's a crazy but maybe plausible trade idea?
All right, let's get speculative. Hit me with your wildest thought.
Okay, here it is. TradeWeb becomes the operating system of the financial markets. Think about it. They're already connecting buyers and sellers across a wide range of asset classes. They're building tools for everything from price discovery to trade execution to post-trade processing.
Wow.
They're even dipping their toes into digital assets.
That's a big swing, but I can see the logic. They're building a comprehensive platform that could potentially touch every aspect of the trading life cycle.
Right. It's like they're creating the infrastructure for a new financial ecosystem. And if they can keep attracting users and expanding their offerings, who knows how powerful they could become.
It's a fascinating idea, but let's be realistic. There are a lot of ifs involved. They face stiff competition from established players, regulatory hurdles, and the ever-evolving nature of the financial markets. But hey, if anyone can pull it off, maybe it's TradeWeb.
Totally agree. And again, this is just a thought experiment. Don't make any investment decisions based on our crazy ideas.
Absolutely, but it's fun to think about the possibilities, isn't it?
For sure. All right, we've covered a lot of ground here. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back to wrap up our deep dive into TradeWeb markets.
It is okay. Ready to dive back into TradeWeb.
Absolutely. So to wrap up this deep dive, let's play a little game I like to call, What Would Insert Famous Investor Do? Today, we're channeling the Oracle of Omaha himself, Warren Buffett.
Oh, this is good. I can already see him sipping on a cherry Coke, pondering TradeWeb's potential.
Right. So if Warren were listening to this episode, what do you think would catch his attention? What would make him say, now this is a business worth looking into?
Well, first off, I think he'd appreciate TradeWeb's strong fundamentals.
Okay.
Consistent revenue growth, expanding margins, a rock-solid balance sheet. Those are all things that align with his value investing philosophy.
Classic Buffett.
Right.
He loves a company that can generate cash and deliver steady returns.
Exactly. He'd also be intrigued by their competitive moat.
Yeah.
They've built this powerful network, a reputation for innovation, and a deep understanding of the fixed income market. Those are hard things for competitors to replicate.
True. A durable competitive advantage is a key element of Buffett's investment strategy.
Yep.
It's all about finding businesses that can withstand the test of time.
And I think he'd be drawn to their long-term vision. They're not just focused on the next quarter or even the next year.
Right.
They're thinking about how to shape the future of electronic trading. That kind of forward-thinking approach aligns with Buffett's patient, long-term investment horizon.
It's like they're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
Exactly. And finally, I think Buffett would appreciate their management team.
Yeah.
They have demonstrated a strong track record of execution strategic acquisitions and a focus on creating value for shareholders.
He always emphasizes the importance of strong leadership and a culture of integrity. And from what we've seen, TradeWeb seems to have both. So to sum up, TradeWeb checks a lot of boxes for a classic Buffett investment, strong financials, durable competitive advantage, long-term vision, and a capable management team. Now, whether or not he actually takes a position is anyone's guess.
Of course, this is all just speculation, and we're certainly not suggesting that anyone should base their investment decisions on our hypothetical musings.
Right. Always do your own research and consult with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Absolutely. But it's fun to put ourselves in the shoes of a legendary investor and see what insights we can glean.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps up our deep dive into TradeWeb markets. As always, we hope you found it informative and entertaining.
And hopefully it sparked some thought-provoking ideas about the future of electronic trading and the role TradeWeb might play in shaping it.
Exactly. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep. Okay, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into TradeWeb markets. But before we go, it's time for our favorite segment.
Yeah.
This is not financial advice, where we throw out a wild, but maybe not so crazy trade idea based on everything we've discussed.
I always look forward to this part.
All right.
Hit me with your wildest thought.
Okay, remember how we were talking about TradeWeb becoming the operating system of the financial markets?
Yeah.
Well, let's take that a step further.
Oh, I like where this is going.
What if TradeWeb creates its own cryptocurrency?
Whoa.
Think about it. They've already got the network, the technology, and the credibility.
Right.
They could create a token that's used for everything from settling trades to accessing premium data on their platform.
Whoa. That's a bold move.
It is.
But it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility.
Right. Imagine a world where institutions are using TradeWeb coin to execute multi-million-dollar bond trades. It could become the preferred currency for the entire fixed income market.
That would be a game changer, but let's be realistic.
Yeah.
There would be huge hurdles to overcome: regulatory approval, security concerns, getting buy-in from major institutions. It's a long shot.
Definitely a long shot. But
Yeah.
hey, stranger things have happened in the crypto world.
True enough. And remember, folks, this is just a thought experiment. We are not financial advisors.
This is not financial advice.
And this is not investment advice.
Absolutely. Always do your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any investment decisions. But it's fun to think big, right?
Absolutely. It's what keeps things interesting.
So there you have it, our deep dive into Tradeweb markets. From their record-breaking quarter to their ambitious plans for the future, we hope you found it insightful and, dare I say, entertaining.
It's been a fascinating conversation. Tradeweb is clearly a company to watch. They're innovative, they're ambitious, and they're not afraid to shake things up. It'll be interesting to see what they do next.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us. And be sure to tune in next time for another deep dive into the world of earnings calls.